The MC cuts the ropes that were tying Camus to the tree with ease. Camus was happy to see him as he lifts her up, asking if he came to save her. The MC replies back to her if she doesn't understand what hand gesture was used for keeping quiet. But their chat was cut off as Ian appears before them, telling the MC that she knew that the boy who uses knives well would come. She tells him that his strong physique that made it possible to cover a long distance within a short period of time, and his level-headedness that made it possible for him to get through the darkness of the forest, adding on his passionate and pure love that made him put his life on the line for his girl. All those conditions were perfect, as Zion tells Vikir that she won't ask about his past, and that he had passed. The MC looks at her and wondered what he had passed, but Camus and I send lightning stares at one another as they both know what each of them wanted. The MC pulls Camus closer to him, causing her to blush slightly as he thinks about not being able to hide his powers in this situation, and that he couldn't recall anything about Iron from his past life. Iron seemed pissed that Camus was close to the MC, as he wondered if she was the one that gave the nose bridge scar to Hugo's face, and if she was the Black Archer Night Fox. But as they were talking, a blow dart is seen pointing at them. The MC sees the attack going to Camus and easily blocks it with his hand. Hun was shocked to see this and wondered how Vikir knew as he was hiding in the bushes. The MC decides to pick up Camus, causing her to scream a bit as he realized that things had become bothersome. He tells Camus to bear it with him for a little, and that he will return her to his uncle. Camus agrees shyly, thinking that he was still out of it as he was using formal language, which might be because of the poison. The MC and Camus quickly leap away, leaving Iron to stand alone in science. She scratches her head, saying that she wanted the MC to return with her obediently, as the MC and Camus escape. He asks her if she was severely poisoned. Camus replies, S.H. Lee, while blushing that she thinks so. All of a sudden, two barbarians appear and shoot arrows at them. The MC manages to block their attacks with his sword as Camus shrieks from fear. Iron then prepares her arrow lightly, releasing a blue aura that covered the arrow. She stretches the bowstring and prepares her shot with her arrow glowing blue intensely, her gaze filled with focus as she prepares to get rid of Camus. She lets go of the arrow, which unleashes a powerful blue streak of light. The arrow soon reaches the back of the MC as he carries Camus. He turns his head in a swift motion and sees the powerful arrow reaching them. Camus turns as well due to the MC and sees the arrow just inches away from her eye. Huge pillars of ice suddenly erupt throughout the forest, following the attack of the arrow. Sweat drips down Camus' face as she spots the arrow standing still just inches from her face. Adolf appears and had used ice magic to freeze the arrow from attack the MC and Camus. He shouts at Camus, asking if she was all right. Camel was glad to see her uncle arrived. Adolf casts MC poison to heal Camus. He holds Camus dearly and mentioned that the poison was really severe and numbing, which was difficult for him to remove everything, and tells her that they needed to visit the divine Quovadas when they return. But Camus pushes his hand away, asking him to let her go for a moment. Instead, she runs towards the MC and hugs him with all her might, telling him that he had saved her again. Seeing the shock that all tears filled his eyes, and he tries to tell her that he too also tried his best. But Camus was not happy with him. She yells at him, wondering why he had only come now and that she was going to tell her mother everything. Just as Camus was yelling at Adolf, a rope appears. Around the MC face, the rope tightly wraps itself around Vikir's neck as Ian appears behind him holding the rope tightly. And surprising the MC, she tries her best to pull the MC, but couldn't. She wondered why he was so strong and why he wasn't moving backwards. She tells the MC to be obedient and to let himself be captured as she was running out of time. The MC easily snaps the rope into pieces. Thinking why was there no time, Camus yells at her, saying it was you again. The MC thought deeply about the reason why the Balak were in a hurry soon enough. A demonic being gaze was felt, an ominous deadly aura was felt throughout the forest. Iron tremble in fear as she gazes at the sky, saying did it finally noticed even Vikir weapon Beelzebub was activating on its own and causes a buzz. The MC looks at it, wondering why the Beelzebub in his veins were giving him an intense warning. He knew that it meant that something was coming. Iron tells him that she was coming as sweat down her face. Fear overtook her as she spoke. Its name. Madame Eight Legs as she looked up. A sudden pillar appears, though it pierced through the forest and was aiming for the skies. Everyone looked at it. The barbarians and even its wolves were terrified at its appearance, saying that the madam was here. The Kiran Kamu looked up and wondered why a pillar had appeared. The pillar was releasing a scary-looking purple aura and soon split into various legs. The legs attack various places throughout the forest. As Adolf covers Kamu and Vikir question why there was such a monster hiding in the forest. The MC recall what the monster was and didn't expect to see it in a place like this. If the MC memory was right, it was Madam Eight Legs, who had an S rank rating. Madam Eight Legs lets out a horrifying shriek of madness that was heard throughout the forest as the three of them stare in horror as Camus tries to shout out what that was. The MC quickly covers her mouth, telling her that she can't make loud noises. He explained to her that even though Madame Leg has poor sight, it has sensitive touch, and hearing the MC recalls an old native prior to his regression about the incident seen and heard about at the Laruji Tell in War Mountain. The legend the elder told seemed like a horror story. It was a horror story about the madam with 8 legs, which inhabited in the depths of the forest according to the Empire's Monster Dictionary, which was finalized after 7 revisions. There were written records of Madame Eight Legs that its risk ranking was S, and was a monster capable of destroying a nation within a single day, making it a disaster rank. Madame Eight Legs lets out a horrible shriek, causing green slime to spread all around from its mouth as though it was part of Nickelodeon's slime show. The green slime melts the branches of the tree. The MC dodges the green slime with these while Adolf protects Camus from the slime using a spell shield, but a Huns lets out a scream like a little girl. He shouts out as Madam Poison have landed on his hair. The hair covered with poison was quickly cut off. Iron had cut it off, whispering to him. But he was an idiot for screaming in front of the madam just as a Hun kneels down on the ground. Iron couldn't believe what happened and looked up. She sees that Madam Eight Legs was looking right at her. She tells a Hun that she would have killed him, but he was lucky that he was the grandchild of the shaman. She whispers to the others to quickly retreat on the other side. The MC and others were making a run for it too, as Adolf whispers to them that they needed to get away, but Madame Legs had spotted both groups and slowly senses their movements with her. I don't know what this is. Man, is this a tongue comment below what you think this part is? Madame Eight Legs had spotted the 2 groups who were retreating differently. The ball acts were running away in small groups just like the blue dots, whereas the Morgues and Baskerville members were running away in a large group just like the red dots. There was a slight difference in how the 2 groups retreated, but it made the madam decide who to chase after it, decided to chase the MC and the others. Adolf asked why it was coming their way. A member of the Moor clan tells Adolf to leave it to him as he knew that a bug's weakness was a fire attack. He conjures a huge fireball and sends it flying towards the madam. It lands and causes a huge explosion in its face. The members saw the explosion and believed that the fireball attack had worked. The man asked Adolf if he had saw that, but was interrupted when one of Madame's legs pierced through the man beside him into the air. The man could only stare. His blood flew all over from its attack. Blood was spilled on his face as tears began to form. He looks at the madam and realized that the fireball attack had nothing. Adolf was panicking as he was running away, wondering what the hell was that. But Vikir was deep in thought. He decided that this was it. As the others continued to run away, the MC had turned around, surprising them. Staffordshire sees this and asks what the MC was doing. The MC tells him that at the rate they were going, they were all going to be killed, so one of them is needed to tie down the monster's legs. Staffordshire then offers to do it, but the MC cuts him off, telling him that his skills were not enough to tie down the monster's leg. Everyone could only stare at the MC in silence as he explained to them that they couldn't afford to bring the monster back into the territory with them, and that in the current situation the best person has to tie its leg down. Which was the MC, as he holds his sword closely. He tells Adolf that there was no time and a decision was left in him, but Camo was shocked to see what MC was doing. Adolf hesitated at the idea of leaving behind Vikir alone, but MC tells him to hurry and run away. Adolf then decides to leave the MC, telling the other to not let his nephew-in-law sacrifice be in vain. Tears form in Camo eyes as she call out to Vikir while Adolf pull her away from him. Camus' voice could be her telling the MC to return, but Adolf tells her not to move as the MC hold his sword tightly, but he lets out a deep breath and lets go of his sword. He look ahead and think that he has no intention in the destruction of the Baskerville territory. and that the Allied forces could not stop the madam who was still growing. However, this was a good opportunity for Vikir, as he plans to fake his death in order to get away from Hugo to buy enough time for him to learn the 10th technique in his head. He decides to return to the clan. Only when he was skilled enough to not be pushed around by Hugo, it was when he will return the MC unleashes the full power of Beelzebub in his arm, revealing its demonic energy blade, knowing that if he doesn't go all out, he would die. Madame Legs stares of the MC, as the MC stares back at it, preparing himself for his hardest fight. Yet the Baskervilles and Beelzebub's demonic energy surrounds Vikir's body, as he slowly unleashes all his skills. The large amount of man he received from the River Styx's blessing, the aura that was more worldly and used for high-ranking Baskerville swordsmanship techniques. And finally, the demonic sword, Beelzebub. The MC eyes were filled with intense focus as he tells the monster that he was going to use everything he has to attack it. That Clear leaps forward with crazy speed in a zigzag motion and leaps through all the tress in the forest into the night sky. The red aura follows him as he makes his way into the clouds. His demonic sword glowed red as he sees Madame Eight Legs right in front of him. Madame Eight Legs lets out a shriek as it spots the MC in the air. The MC gives it a bombastic side-eye while raising his sword up in the air, unleashing an immensely powerful attack that turned the pages black and white, and the drawer colorblind, revealing a bright red attack from him that strikes Madame Eight-Leg head on. It was the Baskerville's 5th technique. Fury rose in the MC face as he attacks with all his soul and strength. Madame Legs soon began to tremble from the power of the MC strike, causing it to slam into Mother Earth as the Kier's attack was powerful enough to force it to the ground. The attack caused a bright red glow to appear in the forest, which began to shine like a diamond in sky.